So as mentioned, I am Keerthi and I'm part of the CX advisory team for the SAP India, and I'm taking care of the Indian subcontinent engagements. So again, today I'm going to take you through how data-driven experiences can completely change the game when it comes to your CX strategy, right? When somebody comes and asks me, what does data-driven experience mean? It's pretty simple. I tell them it is pretty similar to the feeling that you get when you watch an amazing movie. So you must probably wondering what Nolan is doing on screen. So I'd like to take the example of Interstellar here. So when Nolan tried to create this masterpiece, he had an amazing storyline in mind, and he kept on collecting more information to make sure that his story comes to life, and then went ahead and cast the right set of folks, and not the other way around, right? And this is pretty similar to what you as CXOs do when it comes to the CX parlance. So you have a CX objective in mind and you identify use cases, and based on the use cases, you keep on collecting data and figure out what systems would help in bringing out the CX vision in reality. So Christopher Nolan's ultimate objective is to create a cinematic masterpiece to delight the audience, and your objective is to create an amazing brand experience to delight your customers. And one common goal, delight to your customers. So delighting your customers mean putting your customer at the center of your digital transformation. So what do I mean by that? Pretty simple. Your customer has certain set of expectations, and you as a brand can provide certain set of experiences. Your customer wants you to know him or her, and make sure you tell him or her exactly what you are using the data, his or her data for. There was an interesting question about what is the line, where do we draw the line between personalization and privacy? So this is pretty important, right? So once they expect you as a brand to know them, and you as a brand would get that information and use them in the way that they are supposed to be meant to used, and then create a personalized one-to-one engagement so that you give your customer the right experience at the right time, the right place, through the right channel. And this exactly is the heartbeat of a winning CX strategy. So you always have to bridge this gap between your customers' expectations and the experiences that you give as a brand. So the impact of not matching customer expectations with brand experiences is huge. Things that are not supposed to increase will increase, like costs, and things that are not supposed to decrease will decrease. For instance, the value that you get out of a marketing campaign, or the customer lifetime value, retention rate, so on and so forth, ultimately resulting in very poor marketing ROI. And the main reason for this is what we call as the expectation experience gap. So how do you close this gap? You need to unleash the power of data on to the customer experiences that you bring your customers, so that you treat them with a tinge of personalization and make them gain your trust, make them gain the trust on your brand, right? So in order to embark on a journey of data-driven, personalized customer experiences, it's not as complicated as a Nolan movie. It is pretty simple and straightforward. You need to have a three-pronged approach, as I call it. So first thing is first, you need to connect with your customers. So your customers would feel connected with you, provided you as a brand provide them a feeling of security and feeling of trust. What do I mean by that? The first time your customer interacts with you as a brand, you need to provide them a seamless onboarding experience. When they land on your website after looking at a social ad, you got to take them through a sequence of steps in a non-invasive manner. And when they are ready to do that registration, you got to provide them with multiple authentication mechanisms, and you got to progressively collect more and more information about your customer in a non-invasive manner, right? So that is where your customer would feel that you are providing them a secure experience. And the most important part of the connect section is trust. So you got to explicitly collect consent and preferences from your customers, right? You got to clearly tell them, I want your consent for me to use this information for purpose X, Y, Z, and I want you to give your preferences for me reaching out to you in any way. And these are the various things that I would be using your data for, right? So this security and trust would enable you as a brand to connect with your customer. So once you gather this information regarding preferences, regarding certain personally identifiable data, you got to enrich and unify that information to understand your customer more. So unifying information would mean you connect, you attach the personally identifiable information with the information about your customer that you have on your enterprise systems like commerce server, or the feedback that you get about your customer, that you get from your customer about your brand, or the service tickets that they raise. So you got to combine all of these things. You got to unify all of these information and create a real-time living profile, and derive insights out of it, and create multiple segments and activate these segments for further downstream engagement, right? So once you derive these insights, once you understand the profile, create that profile, you got to use that profile to engage with your customers. So engagement is where you actually execute your interaction with your customer. This interaction or this engagement has to be personalized, automated, and has to communicate and reach out to your customer with one single message across all channels. And all of these things would be made possible using SAP's CX portfolio. For the connect part, we have customer data cloud. And for the understand part, we have the customer data platform. And the engage part, we have SAP MRSys customer engagement. So all of these modules are tightly integrated with each other so that they give you a native seamless integration and give you a feeling of one unified CX stack. This is pretty important because point solutions, if you connect them together, in the long run, the total cost of ownership might increase drastically, and the return on investment that you might get would not be as good as a consolidated unified CX stack. So starting from moment one, where your customer interacts with you, and to the moment where you turn your customers into advocates by constantly communicating with them with a personalized message, SAP's CX portfolio would be able to help you out in each of these steps. So rather than me talking about these solutions, I'll quickly show you through an illustration over the next 5 or 6 minutes. So we're going to take one sample brand called SAP Electronics, and we're going to take look at how a customer called Sandhya's journey would turn up when she interacts with the brand starting from day one to moving forward, right? So Sandhya, as usual, looked at a Facebook ad and she wanted to buy maybe a PlayStation, and she looked at her Facebook, she clicked on a Facebook ad and she landed onto the SAP Electronic Stores website. So the moment Sandhya lands on this website, lands on your brand's website, that is where her experience with your brand begins. You got to make sure that starting from this point one, you have to keep on improvising. You got to keep on giving the best experience to Sandhya moving forward, right? So there you explicitly tell Sandhya that you collect certain information, and so that to make her experience better. And again, to address the difference between privacy and personalization, you as a brand would want to get more and more information about your customer, but Sandhya would give you information only when she feels secure and trustworthy, only when she feels secure and trust interacting with your brand, right? So there are multiple ways to get that information. You can gamify, or in fact, you can, like this, project a promotional update or newsletter subscription information, which more or less would warrant the top right syndrome. She goes ahead and closes it. So you make one of the things that was mentioned earlier was marketers should not be in a position. I mean, they should not want to collect 60 different fields at one go, right? You got to make sure that you got to be patient, and you have to wait for the right moment to get more and more information about your customers, right? So for instance, Sandhya, in this case, she's browsing through the website, and at the right moment, you can immediately display a screen telling her about the most top selling products, and she finds the price of PlayStation pretty cheaper compared to the other brand. She goes ahead, adds it to the cart, and checks out. And again, in order to make sure that you get more and more information, you have to make sure that the customer registers for your brand. So making sure checking out step is one of the places where the probability of the customer registering for your brand increases significantly, right? So, and till now, what we have seen is Sandhya is an unknown customer. So in the backend, you got to collect this information about this unknown customer's behavior, so that you can bucket all of those things. And eventually, when someone like Sandhya comes in and visits your website, you sort of refine their experience as and when needed, right? So that is exactly what the SAP's customer data platform has been doing in the backend. So as an unknown user, because she gave consent to use because she gave her cookie consent, because she gave first party cookie consent, customer data platform kept on collecting more and more, collecting information about Sandhya that would sort of be helpful moving forward in terms of refining other users' experience. So it has allocated an unique ID, and it has figured out where is the current location of Sandhya in terms of digital presence and various other extended attributes that you see that it deems relevant. And this is what the anonymous activity timeline that Sandhya has gone through. And once Sandhya has gone ahead and clicked on the registration part, coming back to the story, you got to make sure that you provide multiple ways for authentications, right? It could be a simple conventional password, an email-based authentication mechanism, or going by the trend, you have to provide passwordless mechanisms like mobile OTPs and things like that. And also make sure that so your customer should make use of their social profile, social logins, and then go ahead and register. In this case, Sandhya goes ahead and registers using her Facebook social login. And once she does that, you clearly tell what are the information that you collect, and she goes ahead and completes the registration. And one of the interesting things to note here is on the right hand side. This is the most and vital part when it comes to collecting information about your customers, right? So this is exactly where you clearly tell she cannot complete the registration without agreeing to certain privacy policies, without agreeing to certain consent, right? So this consent can be contextualized based on where Sandhya is logging in from. So let's say if she goes ahead and selects she's not from India, you got to provide privacy policies and consent rules pertaining to that specific geographical location. So as a multinational corporation, this is predominantly important because the cost of non-compliance is much higher, right? So based on her geolocation, you display certain policies, and once you display certain policies, she goes ahead and accepts what she has to accept, what she wants to accept, and completes the sign-up process. So once she completes the sign-up process and keeps on growing as a customer, you also have to provide, the brand also has to provide a centralized preference management console where she can change and alter her communication preferences, subscriptions at any time she wants, right? This is fundamentally important. So with the new privacy, new data policy coming into picture, personal data protection law coming into picture, this is fundamental, and this is like gold dust, right? And then one of the things that we touched upon is as and when Sandhya grows as a customer with your brand, you can wait for the moment and eventually project certain screens to get more and more information about Sandhya, right? Rather than immediately bombarding with her a lot of fields to fill, you can take your you can wait and wait for the right moment to project certain windows to get information. In this case, you clearly ask her if she wants to subscribe for the product updates and if she's interested in birthday offers and things like that. And eventually, based on what she keys in and based on her behavior, you can gamify it if needed as well. So till now, we looked at three things. One, the brand took Sandhya through a seamless onboarding experience, projected certain set of screens at the right moment. And once after projecting certain set of screens, and when she went to the registration process, it provided simplistic authentication mechanisms as well. And after authentication, the brand also clearly told Sandhya what are the various things that they are using the data policies that they are using Sandhya's data for. So this is exactly what SAP Customer Data Cloud does. So SAP Customer Data Cloud has certain set of out-of-the-box screen sets, as we call it, which you can use based on certain rules to be displayed on screen. And you can use this for providing a seamless onboarding experience, registration experience, purchase experience, and to collect certain information about your customers and map it against certain customer fields. And once they get to the registration part, you can make use of the out-of-the-box 20 plus social identity providers which have native integration with Customer Data Cloud. And again, once the registration happens, you can display, you can in fact define what are the various information that you collect from a customer social profile as well. And once the registration completes, you can maintain various versions of consent policies. You can maintain various versions of privacy policies in one go. You can define expiry dates for consent and making sure that customers keep on reconsenting to the new versions of policies. You can force all these things, right? And once a customer agrees or removes or adds preferences or consent, you would be able to keep a track of all of those things in the audit log as well. So Customer Data Cloud makes sure that you convert your unknown visitors into known users with a seamless onboarding experience, secure authentication mechanism with proper consent and preference management capabilities. And now, in order for you to provide better personalized experiences, this information is not just you would need more information than this, right? You would want to combine information, combine this preferences, combine this personally identifiable information with data coming in from your enterprise systems like commerce, data coming in from your enterprise systems like a feedback experience management system, from your ERP system. And that is where customer data platform again comes into picture. So with SAP Customer Data Platform, you would be able to bring in multiple sources, data from multiple sources, and combine them to create a unified customer profile. So what we see here right now is Sandhya's profile has been enriched with data coming in from the commerce system, coming in from the purchase system, coming in from the ERP system, coming in from the feedback system, and her profile has been stitched, and a unified profile is there on the system. And you make sure that based on the preferences and the communication consent that she has given, you have incorporated all of those consent in the unified profile as well. So Customer Data Platform helps you in creating that unified customer profile and maintaining that unified customer profile, and use that for further downstream personalization or activation needs. So once you create that profile, you would be able to, the system has the capability to help you create multiple segments, multiple rules, so that once Sandhya satisfies certain conditions, she gets qualified and disqualified for certain segments in real-time basis, right? For instance, November 15th, she has made a purchase of PlayStation, but it is December 7 now, and she has immediately qualified for a segment called inactive premium customer. So you know that she has become an inactive premium customer right now. But like Sandhya, there might be a lot more other customers who might be inactive and who have potential to bring you more business, right? So you got to make sure that you communicate with them. So in order to communicate with them, what you do is you activate these customer profiles and push them to downstream destinations like marketing automation systems or service cloud, service ticketing systems, or even a big data storage systems. In our case, we are going to be pushing the data from the customer data platform here into SAP's customer engagement platform or marketing automation platform called MRSys. So the use case that we're going to look at here is how do we win back customers who are inactive. So usually what happens is you identify a certain set of customers who are inactive, and then you define a customer journey from scratch and take the customer through a specific set of journey. Maybe you send them a specific email, and after some time you send them a push notification. After some time you send them an SMS, things like that, right? So you got to create all of these things from scratch. But what MRSys gives you as a marketing automation platform is a list of out-of-the-box automation programs or automated customer journeys, so that it reduces your time to value or time to execute significantly, so that you can make use of these out-of-the-box automation programs and implement your automation strategies in no time, right? So we have pushed the data from CDP into the MRSys system, and we have and luckily MRSys already has a win back inactive customers automation program. You go ahead, and all you need to do is select the channels that you want to target customers like Sandhya on. And if you want, you can make complete use of AI, or you can go the conventional recency frequency measurement route. And it gives you, once you select the channels and once you select the type of campaign that you want to run, the system in the background creates a program for you. You don't have to start things from scratch. So, for instance, we have had examples where customers in the oceanic region where it took somewhere around 2 to 3 months to come up with a simple price drop program, right? But here, within a few clicks, you would be able to create an automation program, and the system would be able to create that program and give it to you. And then it is easy peasy. You just need to select, move some nodes here and there, and add in some contents based on your needs, and personalize your emails or personalize your web pushes, or mobile pushes, or SMS messages. So what happened here is we made sure that we have created an automation program, and we have made, when you would be able to implement this in implement this within no time, right? So what we have seen here is, starting from the first time of a customer's engagement with a brand, SAP was able to take the customer through a seamless onboarding experience, provide proper secure authentication mechanisms, incorporate and imbibe a set of trust into it, and create a unified profile in CDP by incorporating data, or instilling or combining data from enterprise systems, and use that profile and push that profile and activate that profile into a downstream marketing automation system. So the end-to-end data-driven customer experience journey has been taken care with SAP. And I'm just going to take you through one quick example of a case study. So this was with a grocery retailer in Europe. What they wanted to do was, they wanted to connect offline and online experience, right? They wanted to connect offline data with online experience data, online behavioral data. And they were not able to do that because they were not able to combine what customer does in a store with what customer does online. And the other challenge was, for warranty issue, they were not able to, let's say warranty information was not made available in the commerce system, and this was a problem. And all of these data and the data systems that communicate with the customers, that are responsible for communication with the customers, were all in silos. The systems were all in silos, right? So what they did was, they implemented a couple of use cases using CDP, CDC, and the marketing automation system. And one such use case is a product warranty. What they did was, they made sure that the warranty information has been attached to the customer's profile, because of the fact that CDP has been made as a central repository of the real-time customer profile. This warranty information was made available on the my account dashboard of the customer, so that they were able to combine offline purchases with online purchases as well. And then from a second use case perspective, they were able to send personalized birthday offers through the marketing automation platform by combining the clickstream data with the purchase data, and creating that unified customer profile, and understanding using that unified customer profile to send personalized coupons and personalized recommendations based on the products that they have recently viewed, right? So because of this, they were able to gain a lot of business values, and one of the business values was high customer lifetime value, and they were able to increase the loyalty rate. And of course, the centralized customer profile was created, and one customer interaction log, ultimately resulting in hyper personalized experiences. So one of the things that I again want to touch upon or stress upon is the fact that yes, personalization is needed, because of the fact that you have to you have to bridge the gap between customer expectations and the brand experience, but you got to do it in a legitimate and trustworthy way. So if you make sure that your customer, if you're pretty clear in terms of how do you collect your customer data and the purposes for which you collect your customer data, and tell them explicitly, and again use them for the same purposes, and then incorporate personalization, your customers' expectations would be in line with the experiences that you give your customer as a brand. And that is how you bridge the gap. It's all about connecting with your customer starting from day one, understanding more about your customer by unifying data from multiple sources, and engaging with your customer through a customer engagement platform, or a marketing automation platform. So that's all I had today when it comes to how do you change your CX strategy with a data-driven approach. So like Nolan, you just need to come up with a strategy, collect more and more data about it, define use cases, and identify systems, and not the other way around.